the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit. My God, is that masterful. They had the toons interacting in every scene with the world. They had presence in the world. They had
Porked up white boy with a little bit of swag. Busted down sexual style is he considered goated.
Well, howdy, nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this a brand new day. Yay! It's supposed to be a mid-tier scorcher today, somewhere in the 80s, so oh joy, gonna have to be closing up the house before noon to trap the cool-ish air inside. Thumbs up for that. Life is life. Yesterday was kind of a cool-ish day, and I was freezing last night. I didn't even have my fans on high, and it was still very chill, so I was up a little early this morning, thumbs up, because it was just so cold. But at least I slept 2 or 3 hours, I hope. Yay, and hopefully you had sleep, hopefully you feel good. And of course, front loading of videos. Hey, if you could toss me a like if you like what you hear and see, that'd be cool. And if you like what you hear and see, and you haven't subscribed, if you could subscribe, that'd be cool. If you could leave me a comment, that would be double plus good. And I would like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons, these literally beautiful and literally awesome people. Without their help, I and my pets, my little hamster Ghost, and I and my kitty cat, we would be hosed like Christmas monkeys, and that's not a good way to be hosed. If you would like to help me and my pets stay alive, I have links to my Patreon in the video description. There are also links to a PayPal if you'd like to help me out without becoming a patron. And if you'd like to help me out without sending money, there's an Amazon wishlist link, so thumbs up for that. And of course, I do have a P.O. box, so if you'd like to send anything from postcards to keychains to whatever you would like, I will show off everything that arrives on camera, so thumbs up. And hey, front loading of videos over. Yay! Yesterday, I at least got to play some Ghost of Tsushima. Now, I count that as a win, even though it was just playing a video game, because of executive dysfunction. It doesn't just affect me for the things that I, would like to do but are heavy duty. It involves everything. Before my brain can make a decision or do a thing, I will often have a picture of nonsense. This is metaphorical. It is figurative. There will be a picture of absolute nonsense that pops up. And the question on that is, it's not a question, but my brain has to spell the name of the creature that you see in the picture. But it's a nonsense picture. There's no animals in it. My brain can't even understand the question. What do you mean? Spell that. It's just random colors. But you can't do the next step until you solve the puzzle. And there are some times I can't solve the puzzle. So as much as I'm yelling inside my head to do it, my brain is just going, what? There's no animal. And so yesterday, the fact that I was able to play some Ghost of Tsushima, very, very good game, it got me, I was able to play, and that was good. Now again, I say Ghost of Tsushima is very good. I have been moved to frickin' tears many times. Well, I'm remembering it now, and I'm already clogging up by some of the storylines going on in this thing. It is just, it's brutal. And at the same time, they have been just funny as hell. Because at one point, your character, you play a young Japanese samurai. It's back, 1300s? I can't remember the exact time frame when the actual Mongols did invade Tsushima. But at one point, you got an older teacher who tells you that you both need to get up to an arena, and you need to climb to get there. So you climb up this hill, and it's a big climb, and it's hard, and you get there, and your teacher is already there. And when you say to them, it's like, but you said we had to climb. And it's, no, I said you had to climb. Exercise is good for you. And I just laughed out loud at that. That was good. Very, very good. But yeah, there have been times where it's just been too real, and I have just had to stop to wipe my eyes because I was crying. So it is a good game. Definitely a thumbs up on that. Past that, I just did not a whole lot of much. I did some recording, for the vlog. I did editing. I played Ghost of Tsushima. I went out on walkies. I tried to think of as much as I could, but I have my med manager appointment for my Wellbutrin is next Monday. And so it's less than a week. I need to increase the dosage. I'm not getting a great antidepressant effect out of this. I'm not getting a great ADHD effect out of it. It'll sometimes, about half the time, slow stuff down and I'll get better. But there are days when I'm just thoroughly time blind and can't focus. So, but I'm only taking 75 milligrams twice a day. And you can take up to 450 daily. So I'm like on the barest minimum. And I'm not feeling a lot of the antidepressant effects, and it's been coming up on 2 months now. Of course, there was that time when I had to keep myself at a lower dosage, and that, unfortunately, if you're taking medication and you go to a suboptimal dose for antidepressants, that can actually make your depression worse, which may be where I'm at, so I don't know. Yay. Now, taking a look at down here, I have a couple of channels that I watch for board game / solo role-playing game stuff. One of the games that this one fellow was talking about this morning was a game called, I got it written down, it's Carnival Zombie, 2nd edition. It takes place in Venice, ancient Venice. You have 3 days to escape the city because there is an old god, a leviathan, awakening beneath the city, and because it is awakening, waves of the dead and monsters are starting to crash and invade the city. And at the end of 3 days, of course, the old god fully awakens. You need to be out of the city by then. And as the person was talking about it and showing the board, yes, it's made for many people. But it seems to be more of a, you're trying to get out of the city first. But even while you're doing it, you have 3 days, and there are actions that you take each turn, and there are agonizing decisions that you have to make that can take a long time because you're agonizing over them. And I was realizing while he was talking about how it's just painful. It can be, painful to play because of the agonizing decisions you're having to make. And it's like, we're already talking about the same reason that we play video games and board games together for that. It's tense. It's unpleasant because it's tense, but people play it because of that. It's like, I can't remember the full name of this one game. It's like Frostguard. But it takes place after an apocalypse when the world is frozen and you're trying to lead survivors to a place and then keep them alive and expand the city, but everything's frozen and you're trying not to make everyone die, and you have to make agonizing decisions. It's stressful and painful to play because of the agonizing decisions you have to make. Why do we play games that make us feel so unpleasant, and yet we flock to them because of the unpleasantness? I don't know, but I think it's a good thing anyway. Yay! And of course, I watch a couple movie reaction channels. I've been watching, because of that, bits and clips of Airplane quite a bit, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit of late. I really like some of the very well done editing for the movie Airplane. They have one spot that I think is a masterful transition. It's clumsily done, but it works so well. They're coming in for a landing on this aircraft, and the brakes aren't working right, and they start to land. And the one female main character starts to scream. and it transitions into the screaming of the tortured metal as the landing gear fails and falls apart, which transitions into another scream of a person up in the tower watching this happen. And it was like, oh, that is good. I mean, that is real good. Like I said, it wasn't edited as well as it could have been, but it was a near constant sound leading through it. That is well done. But even now, from 1988, the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit, my God, is that masterful. They had the tunes interacting in every scene with the world. They had presence in the world. They were there, quote unquote, in the movie. They weren't just you reacting to something green screened in. No, they had an entire team there. These tunes were constantly doing things like picking up ties and running them through their fingers, or moving stuff on a desk, or bumping into something. And every single one of those was a real outworld happening. When the character Roger Rabbit is jumping on a bed, the bed is bouncing. They had to do this with practical effects in 1988, and it still works incredibly. They did a wonderful job on that. So if you've never seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit, please, you owe it to yourself. It is a very, very good film. Is there anything else I have that's real life? Not really. Life is just a lot of pressure, so yay on that. I gotta get some more paperwork and deliver it to the hospital so that I can get my full charity care paperwork thing done, because I didn't have enough of the right thing. Yay! But past that, things are. So I'm going to do some quick talking about the whole cryptid setting. While I was getting ready this morning, washing my face and such like that, suddenly things fell into place. We have, as I have stated, a changing, in this setting, the cryptid setting of mine, a changing environment. Things are changing. Like cryptids, which usually are very pleasant towards people if they do anything at all, have become more hungry and are feeding on human beings much more than they used to. But it suddenly clicked in my head what's actually happening on that. It's a change in the cryptids reflect, like a funhouse mirror, all of our fears and dreams and hopes and nightmares and the best of us and the worst of us reflected back in just a broken and twisted form. For the past 100 years, with the growing amount of people and the growing cities and the advancing technology in these cities, cryptids have been starting to congregate in these city areas. They're not just spread out more equally as they used to be when there were fewer people. Now with more and more and more and spreading across everywhere, they're starting to do things like congregate where we are. For the past 100 years in some, in the larger cities, the darker cryptids, the neutral cryptids, and those very, very few light cryptids that had to feed on human flesh tended to feed on those who would not be missed. And even back then, the poor, the lost, the homeless. They've been feeding off of these people for the past 100 years plus. There are fears growing up in cities. Now, well, the fears aren't growing up, but there are fears coming up in cities around that. You don't think the homeless notice that the homeless are vanishing? You don't think the homeless and the addicts and those who've fallen through the cracks don't realize when my friend Jonah is gone and there is just a couple blood smears? They notice this. They have fears. And since the cryptids reflect this in our urban settings, the light cryptids are becoming hungry. Not in the more rural areas, Not in the smaller towns and smaller villages and such like that. But in the larger urban areas, like the 1.5 million people who live in the fictional town of Brookerton, South Carolina, on the fictional river of Samadan, there's a large cryptid congregation there. It's not huge. There's 1.5 to 1.6. It's a growing area. People, 1.5 to 1.6 million people who live there. There are not millions of cryptids that live there. There aren't even hundreds of thousands. Yes, there are thousands. But that's in a huge city, drawing in a huge amount from the areas around them. The rural areas are much more lightly populated. The cryptids are almost rare because they reflect us. They tend to gather around us, but not always around us as in living around us, but around us as in, the woods that surround places, 1,000-mile circumference, that sort of thing. But now with the cryptids here, they're reflecting our fears and becoming more hungry to explain all this. So that's joyous, and it clicked into place. Didn't even try to think of that, it just went, oh! And that's the best kind of way. Let's see what else I have on this list. Good golly, Miss Molly. There is one last thing. Yesterday I had talked about how Polly's view on who is one of the latest generation of cryptids who is super hungry, which is only about 5% of the new generation. Her view on human beings is, if you're hungry, go eat. Now, even she doesn't just eat past being hungry, and she's only hungry about 4 times a month. And she doesn't even go out and eat someone if she's not hungry. So when she says go eat someone, it's like not just to go against your nature, it's like go fill your belly. That's what they're for, though. There is one time I figured that her mother Clausy, who only in the past 20 years has eaten 14 people, so she doesn't eat human beings very often. Jerry just happens to be in the area, and he is just more like, go listen to your daughter. I can tell you don't look good. You know what will make you feel better? Just go eat someone. And she's like, no, I don't want to do that. But Jerry says, look, come on, we taste good, right? And you're like, yeah. And it's like, and we feel good in your belly, and boy, do we digest well. And she's like, oh, yeah, you do. Okay. So Jerry talked her into it, and then she and Paula go out to both of them eat someone. Now, the whole thing, though, isn't that kind of the same as pointing a loaded weapon at someone and pointing the trigger? Is there the people that are now going to be eaten, would they not have been eaten had Jerry not taught Clausy into it? The things that I've been thinking about that Jerry would come up in defense is, you're not really saving anybody's life if you talk anybody, you talk a cryptid out of eating someone. All you've done is changed it so they're not going to eat this person, they're just going to eat someone else. Just because you convince them not to eat this guy doesn't mean they're not still hungry. They're just going to eat someone else when you're not around. So it's roughly the same thing. He's not really pointing a loaded weapon at somebody because Clausy and Polly are going to eat people anyway. He's not going to really be able to influence them. If they're going to do something, they're going to do something. As a human being, he's not really going to be able to affect them. Yeah, he can help change their mind, and in that particular case, yeah, he does. But you have to think about these things and how you're best going to be able to change the narrative in your head so you can sleep the night away. And Jerry can. Definitely a good thing. And I've opened up 24 hours worth of comments in my community tab. Gonna go through and thank however many people have left me comments in the past 24 hours. If I mispronounce a username, no disrespect is intended, and even though I count American Sign Language, well, We have Daniela Cortesa. Thank you very, very much. Greatly appreciated. Loco 5, thumbs up and thank you. It is a good thing to I don't know what I'm trying to say, but thank you very, very much. Jesse Koskinen, definitely good to see you. A very good thing. Ice Damon, definitely hill climbing is a good thing. Ben B, greatly appreciated. Good to see you. The Horror Files, thumbs up. Thank you very, very much. We have, did I already thank Loco 5? Yes. So, I mean, you're still thanked, but it's actually, no, I have to jump back one. 7 people, not even 8. 7 people who left me comments in the past 24 hours. Thank you very much. Anything more than 0 is awesome. You do get me out of my head and into the world and dealing with real people, if only for a very short time, and if only in text. But it is still appreciated. Thumbs up and thank you. Well, I got stuff I gotta try and get done today if my brain can figure out how to spell the name of the picture of the animal in that random assemblage of colors. Hopefully you can get done the things that you need to get done. That would be very, very cool. If not, don't beat yourself up. That doesn't help. And of course, with the diseases still raging out there and people dying every day from this stuff, please take appropriate precautions for your area. You don't need to get sick. You don't need to deal with the long-term after effects. You don't need to risk throwing your body onto the end-of-life corpse pile or a stranger's body onto the end-of-life corpse pile. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is a very good thing.